And as Donald Trump issues a final warning to Hamas over the Gaza peace deal, should the Prime Minister reverse his decision to recognise that Palestine state? It wouldn't be his first U-turn, would it, to be fair? And for a bit of fun at the end, the Prince of Wales has hinted at reform within the royal family. Is it time for the monarchy to change, though, and in what way? Brilliant, usual Friday night panel for you. Matt Goodwin, pollster, academic and GB News presenter. Got a show at 8 o'clock, evidently. And Joe Phillips, a journalist and former political advisor. But first, let's get those latest news headlines.
Very good evening. It's just gone 6 o'clock. These are your top stories. Breaking in the last hour, sources say that the terrorist Jihad al-Shami was on police bail for an alleged rape when he carried out the Manchester synagogue attack. Meanwhile, crowds heckled the Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy whilst a vigil took place in Crumpsall to honour the victims of that synagogue terror attack earlier.
Palestine! Shame on you! Shame on you! Go to Palestine! Leave us alone!
Daniel Walker's address to the crowds who had gathered to remember the two men that had been killed.
Adrian and Melvin, two truly wonderful, special men whose lives were so truly snatched from them as they tried to pray as Jews on the holiest day of the year, on Yom Kippur.
Of Adrian Dewbs have described him as a hero who tragically lost his life in the act of courage to save others. The attacker responsible for the killings has been named as Jihad al-Shami. The 35-year-old British citizen of Syrian descent was shot 7 minutes after the police were called to the scene. He came to the UK as a young child and was granted British citizenship in 2006 as a minor. His family has strongly condemned the heinous act that happened as worshippers gathered on Yom Kippur. Yesterday's events, however, didn't stop pro-Palestine protests going ahead across the nation last night, as the Met Police are calling for such rallies to be cancelled. Elsewhere, Dame Sarah Mullally has been named as the next Archbishop of Canterbury, the first time a woman has been appointed to the role in the Church of England's history. In a speech this morning, she described the Manchester synagogue terror attack as horrific and warned that hatred and racism of any kind cannot be allowed to tear us apart. The announcement comes almost a year since Justin Welby resigned from the role as spiritual leader of the Church of England due to a damning review into its handling of a sexual abuse scandal. In her first words since confirmation of her appointment, she said that while the role is a huge responsibility, she feels a sense of peace and trust in God to carry her. Storm Amy has been upgraded from a yellow to an amber warning for large parts of the UK. The north and the west of Scotland will be hit the worst by the storm, with a Met Office amber warning for damaging winds in place from 5 o'clock this evening until 9 a.m. tomorrow. A yellow warning for winds in exposed areas has been issued for all of Scotland, Northern Ireland and large parts of North and West England and Wales. Schools in Northern Ireland were told to close early today as Storm Amy sweeps in from across the Atlantic, while the Forth Road Bridge in Scotland has been closed to all vehicles amid heavy rain and wind. And actress Dame Patricia Routledge has died at the age of 96.
My name is Bouquet. B-U-C-K-E-T. No, it's not bucket, it's bouquet.
She was best known for her role in the comedy TV show Keeping Up Appearances, the show which captivated audiences in the 1990s and attracted as many as 13 million viewers at its peak. Her versatility, a word that she did not relish because it implied, she said, not being very good at anything, took her career far beyond the range of TV sitcoms. Those are the latest GB News headlines for now. More from me in an hour, but now it's back to Dawn.
Hello, welcome to Dewbs & Co with me, Dawn Neeson. Michelle is having a well-deserved Friday evening off, but I've got a cracking panel for you and a cracking, but I have to say, tough show. Lots of really difficult discussions to have tonight. Anyway, so joining me until 7 o'clock is Matt Goodwin, pollster, academic and GB News presenter. He's got a show coming up later, but I said I wouldn't mention it. And Joe Phillips, a journalist and former political advisor. Most importantly, though, is you, your company tonight. As Michelle always tells you, it's all about you, and I want your views on everything we're talking about today. Well, there's only one subject in town, to be honest with you. All your views, so get them coming in straight away at gbnews.com/yoursay, and I will read out as many as I possibly can. OK, let's get started, shall we? Now, yesterday, a horrific terrorist attack targeted Manchester's Jewish community, leaving 2 people dead in an assault on a synagogue during Yom Kippur. It's the holiest day of the Jewish calendar. It's a bit like Christmas Day for the Christians out there. Today, a vigil was held to honour the victims, and during his speech, David Lammy was heckled by the crowds with shouts of "Shame on you." Have a listen.
So therefore, I have great pleasure in introducing our Deputy Prime Minister, David Lammy. And before I do, please, 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 we know how we all feel. We know how we all feel.
Go to Palestine! Shame on you! Shame on you! Go to Palestine! Leave us alone!
I'm guessing that wasn't the what they were expecting there. I mean, go to Palestine, leave us alone, and blood on your hands. Very strong words from, obviously, a community that are devastated. But they are probably speaking what a lot of you out there are feeling. In any case, GBNews spoke to one of the women who shouted at that vigil. Here's what she had.
I've tried signing petitions. I've tried signing emails. They don't care. Just stop the marches and it will stop spreading hate. I got married in that synagogue. My grandkids go to the school just over there. I mean, what have we got to do? Do they want more of us killed?
OK, so let's get the latest on this breaking story this afternoon from GB News national reporter Will Godley.
Well, more than 24 hours on from that horrific attack here yesterday morning, the police behind me are still continuing their investigations here at the scene of that attack outside the mosque here at Heaton Park. They've also been searching the attacker's home today. That is Jahid al-Shami, his home not too far away from here, where we understand he's been living for a number of years now. He, of course, came over from Syria when he was a little boy, now aged 35 years old. Back in 2006, when he was 16 years old, he was granted British citizenship, and he's been living here, a member of this community ever since. But as the police continue their investigations into who exactly this attacker was, we do now understand that he was on police bail for an alleged rape when he carried out this attack here yesterday. That's news just into us. Police continuing their investigations. They've also arrested 3 other people as part of their investigations into this attack. Behind me, people leaving they're leaving tributes, flowers, messages of support for a community here that's grieving as the Shabbat here begins this Friday evening.
Thank you very much, Will. As you've just heard, this piece of filth, and I'm sorry, that's exactly what he is. He was on bail for a suspected rape attack, and his father, as we discovered this afternoon, praised Hamas on October the 7th for being Allah's men on earth. That's where 1,200 people were butchered, basically, and 250 were kidnapped, many of whom are still hostages, some of them hopefully still even alive. It's the most terrific day, 24 hours, I mean, just over 24 hours now, I think I've covered. A horrific story. It just gets worse and worse the more you look into this. Joe, let's go to you first on this one. Joe, there are no words. We can do all the thoughts and prayers. It doesn't mean anything. At that vigil, they were shouting at David Lammy, "You have blood on your hands, shame on you." What do you think?
The only person who has blood on their hands is the person who carried out this appalling attack. And I completely understand why people who are grieving and horrified, and as many people in the Jewish community have said, is they've been waiting for this, they've been expecting it, because of the rise in anti-Semitism over the last couple of years. And that is, you know, the words can't condemn enough what has happened and the effect on those communities. But you can't blame the government for this, because there is no sense. What are you blaming the government for? For recognising Palestine? Are you blaming the government for, you know, trying to work diplomatically to get a peace deal in the Middle East? I don't understand.
Many of the Jewish community we have spoken to today did indeed blame the government for recognising Palestine as almost giving some sort of carte blanche for this behaviour. What do you reckon to it, Matt?
Well, I think they're strong words that we've heard from the hecklers in Manchester, but they're the right words. What I found absolutely outrageous today was seeing Keir Starmer tweet about how he will guarantee the security of British Jews. This is the same Labour Prime Minister, same Labour government that rewarded and is incentivising, is encouraging violent extremist Islamism by recognising Palestine, the same government that allowed months and months of anti-Semitic protests on the streets of our capital city, the same government that's presiding over mass open borders, allowing God knows who into our country. We don't know what they believe. We don't know where they're from. We're putting them into the heart of our communities. A government that has no strategy for integrating people who are here, presiding over mass migration. And Keir Starmer, let's be frank, call a spade, someone that basically helped to mainstream anti-Semitism in the main opposition party when it was under the leadership of Jeremy Corbyn. I think if I was a member of Britain's Jewish community, I would feel scared, frightened, outraged. I'd be questioning, do I want to stay in this country? And, you know, it's sad because we have let Jews down. We have let British Jews down. And everybody can see that, except David Lammy, except Keir Starmer, and except people on the left, who, by the way, would be the first people to say, well, if you're talking about immigration, you're a racist, you're far right. They are the first people to draw these lines between rhetoric and tone and action.
I mean, Joe, it is true that many Jewish people over the past couple of years have been frightened to come into London because of the pro-Palestine marches.
Yes, and there are really some important things to say here. Many people around the world, and I would include myself in this, are absolutely appalled at the way the Israeli government has carried out its attacks on the Palestinian people and killed many innocent people, and what they're doing is disgusting. Many people feeling that, including...
Would you describe it as a genocide?
Yes, I would. And there are many people in Israel who are also deeply unhappy, as well as Jews around the world. So that's one thing. Just because you hate what the Israeli government are doing and criticise it does not make you anti-Semitic. The British government voted in 2014 to recognise the state of Palestine when the time was right. So the fact that this government has done it is actually not that much of a big deal, and we've discussed it on this programme before.
Bit of a difference between 2014 and 2025,
yes,
isn't there? What is that difference?
OK, but then why not... why, in the intervening time, did the previous government not say, actually, we're going to rescind that vote, we're going to put it for a vote beforehand?
Let me think. God, I don't know. What could it be? Palestine being run by radical, violent Islamists who base their charter on the Nazi charter. Well, that's one reason. Declaring war on Israel is another. I haven't heard you mention Hamas yet.
Well, perhaps if I can finish what I'm saying, I will. Because when Keir Starmer came out and said, recognising the state of Palestine, he made it absolutely clear that Hamas would have no role in the state of Palestine. So, and also, I would pick up what you said, Matt, about what his role in the Labour Party was. I mean, he expelled Jeremy Corbyn and launched an inquiry into anti-Semitism in the Labour Party. So, and his wife is Jewish. We know his family, or his in-laws, are Jewish. So I think your attacks on the Prime Minister are wrong.
Sorry, but after months and months of telling this country that Jeremy Corbyn should become the next Prime Minister of this country, let's put it in perspective. We know for a fact that the vast majority of people on those hate marches, and that's what they are, they sympathise with Hamas. They've been singing anti-Semitic songs, which are basically calling for Jews, that are calling for the destruction of Israel. Nobody within the Labour government seemingly has had a problem with that. Nobody has had a problem with anti-Semitism being ratcheted up in this country. Nobody's called it out. Nobody said this is inappropriate. And the fact these people are still even contemplating marching this weekend, or even celebrated last night in scenes that I found utterly sickening. Because there's one thing that we used to say about the British. We used to say we had a sense of decency. I have no idea who these people are. These people aren't British. They're not English. They don't have a sense of decency. They have no integrity. It's absolutely disgusting.
Well, and I completely agree with what you've just said, and actually you're echoing what the Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, said earlier this morning, and she said she would call on people who were thinking of going to those marches to actually take a step back. I mean, what we are...
Taking a step back?
No, but
we are coming on to the marches.
Yeah, okay.
We are coming to the marches.
But hang on a minute. You know, people feel very strongly about Gaza, and it doesn't particularly matter which side of the argument you are on. People feel really strongly about it, and people have the right to protest peacefully. Personally, I think you're absolutely right, Matt. Yes, common sense and decency would say, when something awful happens in politics, quite often, if it's in a campaign, all politicians will suspend campaigning for a certain time. It happened with Joe Cox, it happened with David Amess, and we've seen it with other things. And I would think that is the right thing to do.
We've just had a Labour conference where countless people have come up and criticised the protests in London, where hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people hit the streets to protest mass immigration and broken borders. The left did not stop talking about those protests. They're racist, they're far right, we should shut down these violent thugs. Now, compare and contrast their reaction to the hate marches, where they've said next to nothing.
We are coming on, don't go anywhere, we are coming on to the hate marches, and as Baby Boomer has just pointed out, do keep these messages coming in, by the way, Hamas did celebrate Starmer's recognition of Palestine, victory for them. So, but keep those messages coming in. I'll read out as many as I can now. At GB News, we do love to hear what you think, as I've just read out there. And every day we'll be running our poll of the day. Today we are asking, is the government doing enough to protect British Jews? You can scan the QR code on your screen now. You can see it there to vote. And for all of our latest polls, news and how to vote, just go to gbnews.com/poll. But don't go too far, because coming up, despite the terror attack on Manchester's Jewish community, we're talking about it just now. Pro-Palestinian protests went ahead last night, and with more planned, a big one coming up tomorrow in London, which is the Jewish Sabbath. But should they be called off? What do you reckon? Don't go too far. That one's going to get feisty. We'll see you very soon.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk then? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Miriam, you can't be serious. Scrapping the triple lock on state pensions? Madness.
Andrew, we just can't carry on pretending. The numbers just don't add up. We've got to be honest with people. We've got to face the facts. That's what people want.
Well, that's what you get on GB News and on Britain's Newsroom. Lively debates, lively conversation.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first, and we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Hello, welcome back to Dewbs & Co with me, Dawn Neeson, keeping you company until 7 o'clock. And along by my side, I have Matt Goodwin and Joe Phillips, but you're the important ones here, so keep those messages coming in. Now, the fallout from yesterday's shocking attack continues. I mean, it's just never-ending. The Met Police have urged pro-Palestine organisers to cancel or delay protests in the wake of the Manchester synagogue terror attack. The call was echoed by the Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, who told GB News that yesterday's demonstrations were un-British. Have a listen.
Those messages are utterly disgraceful. They are fundamentally un-British in nature, as far as I'm concerned. I would have wanted to see people in this country, step back from protesting for at least a few days, just to give the Jewish community here a chance to process what has happened.
Un-British. Matt Goodwin, I can think of several words to describe them. Un-British is probably one of the milder terms. Should this march be allowed to go ahead tomorrow? I mean, Shabana could stop it if she wanted to.
No, I don't think it should be allowed to go ahead. They are un-British, but they are hate marches filled with people who are singing very offensive songs, incitement to violence, I would argue. And I think given the context, which is the aftermath of a major Islamist terrorist attack, which has resulted in a loss of life, it's the right thing to do. There are people out there who will say, well, if you ban this march, you should ban other marches by people on the right wing of the spectrum. And I think there is a crucial difference here, which is that we are in the aftermath, literally hours after a terrorist attack. And I think, again, reminding people about the importance of decency and compassion, and not hitting the streets and celebrating these acts would be the right thing to do, much in the same way that clamping down hard against those Hamas sympathisers who set off fireworks after the October 7th attacks and sending every one of those guys to prison, or giving them as harsh a sentence as we can give them, would have also sent a powerful message.
I mean, Joe, free speech. We are the channel of free speech. I mean, I'm actually totally for people protesting peacefully. However, there's a time and a place, and tomorrow isn't it.
No, it's not, and I think we all agree with that, but I don't think it would be right for the Home Secretary to ban it, because that will just inflame the people who want to cause trouble. The one thing I would say about Palestine Action, and the real sadness of this, is that we could argue until we're blue in the face about whether the government was right to prescribe it as a terror organisation. But you've got people who are going to these marches, and we're always told, they're retired teachers and vicars and, generally nice people, who are then being arrested for holding up a placard that says, I support Palestine Action. They're being manipulated by Palestine Action so that it becomes about Palestine Action and not about the people of Palestine.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there are other ways to show your support for the people of Palestine and your abhorrence at the war in Gaza without going on that.
However, these people will be going on the march tomorrow, and they will be taking up valuable police resources when security levels are at an all-time high for Jewish synagogues, Jewish businesses, Jewish schools throughout London. Those police need to be looking after the Jewish community, not arresting numpties for holding cards up.
Yeah, and just to come in briefly, you know what I'd like to see tomorrow instead of that hate march? I'd like to see, let me think, a rally, some kind of gathering in British Muslim communities, calling out radical Islamism, calling out it appears relatives who have expressed some kind of support for Hamas and saying, we condemn all of this, this has nothing to do with us. And I'd like that demonstration, that rally, show of solidarity to be as visible as possible. Now, if it doesn't manifest, if it doesn't turn up, well, that leads to a bigger set of questions. But that would be something useful to happen tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that we have heard today from Manchester and around the country, imams, we've heard from the Bishop of Manchester, we've heard from people across the faith spectrum, all speaking with one voice, that everybody just needs to be kind, compassionate, sympathetic, and let people grieve, but, you know, stop this ever happening again.
But it's just not happening. I mean, I keep hearing until I'm blue in the face. I mean, this will unite us. This makes us stronger. It's not happening. It doesn't. This is what every Jewish person I've spoken to, from friends to people I've interviewed on here today, have said. This was a matter of time. I was expecting One of my best friends, she had to go home through Liverpool Street Station in London yesterday. There was a big demonstration on the concourse there. They know there's a large Jewish community that lives out in Essex. She was in tears walking through it.
Yeah, I can understand.
But no one cares. No one seems to care. The anger and the upset this is causing. This isn't uniting. This is making people angry and upset.
No, I completely get it, Dawn. And in fact, you know, on a very small, and it sounds flippant, but it's not actually. I was at a pub quiz a few weeks ago, and it was a football question, and a person there made a very flippant and unpleasant anti-Semitic comment about Tottenham Hotspur, and the friend I was playing with, who is Jewish, she actually called out the quizmaster and got a round of applause. And I just thought, you know, actually, that was great that she did that.
Fantastic. I'm really good for her. Why doesn't our government have more of that attitude now? And let's talk now to our Matthew Robinson, who is author and founder of Migration Films, about these marches and whether they should go ahead tomorrow. Matthew, good to see you. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, you believe this march should go ahead tomorrow. Why?
Thank you for inviting me onto your show. First and foremost, I'd just like to say how horrific the attack was yesterday, and thoughts and prayers from, I would imagine, every different denomination of people that believe in God, have a faith or no faith, will be going out to the Jewish community, and rightly so. And attacks like this are terror and horrific, and respect should be shown. And I truly believe that. But I also believe that, as far as I'm aware, I wasn't aware of any actual marches as such. I was aware of
gathering, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, the Defend Our Juries. Now, I don't think that's particularly to do with standing up for Palestine. It is, but it's more opposing genocide, and people also standing up against what they feel are draconian measures with regards to the freedom of protest. And a lot of people think that's really important to be there. And I don't think that people quietly sitting down with these placards. I know, and what you said earlier about police time and police resources, I can understand that. But maybe the Met Police and other police forces should be focusing on protecting the Jewish community rather than arresting people who are sitting against a genocide.
Well, maybe those people who are standing and sitting with their placards tomorrow should be actually sitting and standing with placards saying, this is not in our name, we support the Jewish community, and this is a horrific attack. Why don't we do that instead? Why don't we all get together? If this is uniting us and making us stronger, diversity is our strength, etc., etc., why doesn't everybody on that march tomorrow have a placard saying, we stand with the Jewish community?
Well, I took a little look at the Defend Our Juries statement earlier, and the first thing they said is, we condemn these hideous terror attacks on the community in Manchester.
Stand that tomorrow then?
I don't know. I mean, that's a suggestion. I mean, I'm not part of any of the organisation. I'm just someone who is a member of the press, goes and films these things. One thing I will talk about is, if possible, the comment by the Home Secretary yesterday. Now, the protests in London yesterday, they weren't just in London, they were all around Europe, all around the world, and that was with regards to the global Samud flotilla. Now,
Greta Thunberg.
Well, I don't know if
she was on there, wasn't she?
She was, yeah. But someone I know, a friend of mine, was on the flotilla, and he asked me to represent him as his member of press to put his press release out and released a video when he's kidnapped. And don't forget, I mean, his MP Barry Gardner actually has been very good. He wrote a letter to the Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper, basically stating that, you know, if I may I read some of it to you quickly? Do you have time?
We haven't got that much time, so you just sort of like tell us quickly.
He's saying effectively, what other country, you know, would the UK government sit by and allow piracy on the high seas from any other government, with regards to people being taken on a peaceful mission. Now, don't forget, they've been taken. Nobody knows where they are. They were on a humanitarian mission. However, it was framed by the Israeli government.
I'm sorry, but I'm sorry to interrupt, but nobody died on that. I mean, we are talking about the death of 2 people in a synagogue's grounds in Manchester. We're talking about terrorism. We're talking about Jew hatred on our streets. No one's died in the flotilla.
Well, we don't know. We haven't had any information if people are alive or dead yet. But the point is, people last night were venting their frustration about this happening. They weren't venting their frustration, and I believe that everyone has the right to protest.
Of course, no, I do agree as well, Matthew. Everybody has the right to protest. We've said that, and I'll say that till I'm blue in the face, but there is a time and a place. And I seriously do not believe that tomorrow, given how the Jewish community and many, many people of other faiths are feeling about what's happened in this country over the last couple of days, that tomorrow is not the place.
I called up one of the lead members of what was formerly known as Jewish Voice for Labour. It's now Jewish Voice for Liberation. I spoke to him earlier. And I said, what do you think? I thought, you know, before I come on, I should find out what people think. And he was like, no, the protest should go ahead. And absolutely, these attacks should be condemned and need to be condemned. But don't forget that there are people, many people, I'll give you Hamza Yusuf, for example, who was the former Minister of Scotland. His wife has lost many family members. You know, 57 people were killed in Gaza yesterday.
Absolutely, of course, no, absolutely. That is a war zone. Horrible, horrible things are happening. The streets of Manchester are not a war zone, but that war appears to have been brought to Manchester, and I pray to God that it doesn't happen again, certainly tomorrow on the streets of London. Matthew Robinson, thank you very much for joining us, author and founder of Migration Films. Let us know what you think about that one at gbnews.com/your say. I mean, why don't they just sit there, not in our name, we're all together on this. This is horrific. This should not be happening on our streets. Let me know what you think about that one. In any case, coming up, Donald Trump issues a final warning to Hamas over the Gaza peace deal. Should the Prime Minister actually reverse his decision to recognise Palestine as a state? It's not the first time he's made a U-turn, is it? So he's got form for it. Remember, Hamas celebrated his announcement. They thought it was victory to them. Don't go too far. That was going to get feisty as well. We'll see you soon.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Looking ahead to tomorrow across southern parts of Europe, and there is a lot of fine weather around, but not everywhere. The same band of rain that's been sweeping through today across the UK in association with Storm Amy is going to fringe into northwestern parts of Spain and Portugal, bringing some wet weather here. Elsewhere, generally dry for most, but some heavy, showery bursts of rain likely across more eastern parts, particularly affecting Greece at times. Otherwise, it's looking largely fine into next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello again and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Storm Amy is crossing the UK as we speak, passing northern Scotland and bringing its strongest and most damaging wind gusts to much of Northern Ireland, northern and western Scotland through the night time and into much of Saturday. You can see how tightly packed the isobars are as Storm Amy makes its way across the north of Scotland. Spells of rain pushing through the whole of the UK. For many parts, 50 to 60 miles an hour wind gusts are expected overnight, along with a spell of heavy rain. But it's across Scotland, Northern Ireland, Northern England, North and West Wales, where gusts could exceed 70 miles an hour in exposed spots. And especially for the west and north of Scotland overnight, we're looking at wind gusts of 100 miles an hour for the Western Isles and 85 miles an hour for the northeast of Scotland during Saturday as Amy pulls away. That accompanied by heavy rainfall continuing to stream into much of Scotland, with large accumulations expected across the Northwest Highlands in particular. Northern Ireland seeing a wet and windy start, Northern England as well. And for much of the south, we're going to see showers interspersed by brighter spells, but very blustery out there, 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts. So it's a windy day on Saturday for the whole of the UK, but by this stage, the strongest winds and the biggest impacts are expected across the Northern Isles into parts of Caithness, parts of Aberdeenshire as well. That's where wind gusts could reach 70 to 85 miles an hour. The strong wind from the northwest will feel cold out there, temperatures dipping compared with the last few days, and there'll be frequent showers feeding in. Similar on Sunday, but we're starting to see it calm down at this stage. Amy pulls away, still a strong breeze from the northwest, still feeling on the cold side, still some showery rain around, but nowhere near as unsettled as the next 24 hours. And then into next week, we've got a westerly breeze, but it's not looking quite as stormy.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good evening, this is the latest AI travel news from GBnews.com. Drivers should exercise caution on the M90 Friarton Bridge due to high winds. In Northamptonshire, the M1 southbound between junction 18 and junction 16 has a broken down vehicle causing lane closure. In Surrey, there's a road traffic collision on the M3 eastbound between junction 3 and junction 2, leading to 3 lanes closed and 50-minute delays. And on the trains, South Western Railway has major disruption between Wimbledon and Effingham Junction, Hampton Court and Woking. Avanti West Coast services affected by poor weather between Rugby and Milton Keynes Central, disrupting routes to Bangor and Holyhead. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Hello, welcome back. This is Dewbs & Co. Not with Michelle Dewberry, though. This is me, Dawn Neeson, and keeping me company until 7 o'clock tonight, I have Matt Goodwin and Joe Phillips. And if you don't need them introduced by now, you know they are, for God's sake. OK, now, Donald Trump issued a final... This is breaking news this afternoon, this was. Donald Trump issued a final ultimatum to Hamas, demanding they accept a peace agreement with Israel to end the ongoing Gaza conflict. The US president warned on Truth Social, obviously, that if Hamas refuses, all hell will break out against them. He added that the militants have until 6 p.m. on Sunday to release all those remaining hostages. Which is begging me to ask the question, basically, is it time that we actually issued our own ultimatum and maybe did a U-turn on this recognising Palestine malarkey, Joe? I mean, you know, no. Hamas celebrated. They thought that was a huge victory when Keir Starmer said, we're recognising Palestine.
No, I don't think we should, as I said before the break. I mean, I think, it is the right thing to do, but I think it is symbolic. It is not going to mean anything, and it aligns us with France, Spain, Ireland.
That's not necessarily a good place being aligned with France.
Well, it's not like we're doing it on our own, Dawn. You know, the point is there are an awful lot of people who want to see a two-state solution, and by saying we recognise the Palestine...
But the problem with the two-state solution is Hamas don't want a two-state solution. Their avowed intent is to wipe Israel and, by extension, Jewish people off the face of the earth.
Yes, but, you know, Keir Starmer and President Macron and everybody else who wants to see and recognise the state of Israel have been at pains to say, without Hamas.
Right, yeah.
And you know, actually, Dawn, you've got the Prime Minister of Israel who wants to wipe every Palestinian off the face of the earth.
I'm not defending Israel and Netanyahu either, but...
You know, there are an awful lot of people who actually hate what Netanyahu is doing
many Jewish
in the
people
name of Israel. And they're very well aware that he's turned Israel into a pariah state amongst many people around the world. Now, what I think is interesting about this, not that I have much time for Donald Trump, is the fact that they've got the Arab states behind this peace agreement, because that is tricky. That's like herding cats. And this is the best option at the moment. Whether or not you think it's the best option if Tony Blair then goes and runs it under the board chaired by Donald Trump,
Tony Blair in the Middle East, what could possibly go wrong? I can't see any issues with that one. Matt, what do you reckon?
Well, I mean, ultimately, the United States of America, I mean, they're the only people who can bring an end to this war. And President Trump's absolutely right to say it was ridiculous to recognise Palestine at this point in the process.
Many Jewish community leaders we've spoken to today have said one of the reasons they think this attack has happened is because we said we would recognise.
Well,
we, the country, said we'd recognise
essentially,
Palestine.
you know, the arguments that we've just heard about why Palestine should be recognised don't really hold up. It's not a functioning state. There's no clear government with a democratic mandate, and we have incentivised radical Islamists. While that state is engaged in war, the left couldn't even wait until the war was over or there was some kind of peace settlement.
Or the hostages may be freed.
Intervened and they emboldened Islamists, including people most likely within this family based on some of the statements that we've seen today. So the ball now is in the court of everyone out there who sympathised with Hamas, everybody who's joined a hate march, everybody who has participated in this grotesque display. The offer is there for Hamas to take it. If they don't, then, you know, once again, we're reminded that you're siding with people who have no serious interest in peace, stability, and most of all, with their own people, who they've sacrificed at every single turning point during this conflict, hiding under hospitals, hiding under schools, hiding with children. Yeah, I do believe, actually, because I believe Israel any and every day over Hamas.
But it's funny, isn't it, that Israel will not allow independent journalists in to Gaza to let them see for themselves.
Can I ask you a question, though? Why do you think Israel has been held up to such a higher standard during war than any other power in the world?
Because they are unique in the Middle East in being a democratic country, which we have always supported and I think most of the world has recognised. And they have obviously had a terrible history, as we all know, and I think people have been genuinely supportive. But because they're a functioning...
No, they haven't. They've been... No, after 9/11, we didn't say to America... You know, imagine if drug cartels had invaded Texas, had raped and murdered their way through Texas and then had dragged Texas children and grandmothers back to Mexico. We wouldn't have been sat here saying, do you know what? I'm worried about how many people in Mexico you are killing as you pursue your own people, as you try and get those hostages back. I know. We didn't hear these arguments in Iraq. We didn't hear these arguments in Afghanistan. We didn't hear these arguments in Syria. We didn't hear these arguments in Lebanon. Israel is consistently held to a higher standard, despite executing this war with a lower number of casualties among the civilian population than any other major conflict.
That is not true.
It is. It is. The ratios are pretty clear.
The number of civilians who have been killed, the destruction of Gaza.
According to Hamas...
Well, why not? Well, and the UN and the World Health Organization and
who are relying on Hamas's figures.
Well,
I'm not different. I'm not on one side or the other. But I'm saying, if you don't believe what the IDF are saying, why would you believe what Hamas is saying?
Because the IDF or Israel will not allow independent journalists to go in and verify what they're saying.
I know independent journalists who have been into Israel during this conflict, and I think it is absolutely outrageous and embarrassing, and I'm actually really ashamed of my country for the first time in my life, that this is the moment our democratically elected government decided to recognise Palestine while Jews are still in tunnels, still being held hostage by an extremist Islamist organisation. It is embarrassing what Keir Starmer did. It is embarrassing what this Labour government did. I think it's outrageous. The sooner this Labour government gets out of power, the sooner we can reverse this idiotic decision and we can actually get back to not rewarding terrorists, not incentivising Islamists. The world will be a better place.
Do you think you should go back on that decision now, Matt?
100%. And I can say this, knowing a lot of people in politics who are most likely going to win the next election, I'm doing everything I can to say, you better reverse this decision when you get into power, because it's outrageous. It's absolutely outrageous.
So
historians will not judge Keir Starmer well at all.
We've got 3 years, probably, before the next election. And I'm guessing that some of the people who you think might be in power after the next election, if today's polls were truth, are people who actually quite like what Elon Musk says and don't necessarily criticise Tommy Robinson for his racist stirring up.
So what is this whataboutery? Incentivising and rewarding extremists like Hamas while there are still Jews in tunnels?
You can support the people of Palestine and you can support the Palestinian cause. It does not necessarily make you support Hamas. And most people have condemned Hamas but will still support the people of Palestine. And what is happening?
So why aren't you here, Joe, saying I think we should recognise Palestine, but I think that is only possible when it is not in the hands of an Islamist extremist organisation. I haven't heard that from anybody. I didn't hear Keir Starmer say that. In fact, there were no conditions, basically.
Yes, there were.
No, there weren't. Well, he didn't say, I will only do this when the hostages are returned, did he?
No, he said without Hamas, that the Palestinian state would be recognised without Hamas having a role in it. And how can you even have anything like an election or anything in a place that has been absolutely bombed to bits?
Which is precisely why recognising Palestine is so absurd.
Which is why it is purely symbolic, which is why it actually doesn't really matter. It is a symbol of support and opprobrium against Israel.
Jewish people don't feel it's symbolic. They feel that those 2 dead men in Manchester, part of their death is to do with that.
It may well be. We don't know, and we'll never know, because
that's beyond symbolism.
I know, but we don't know that. You know, we don't know
Many Jewish people feel that.
Well, many people will do. Don't forget that one of the people, as far as we know, was actually killed, unfortunately, in the line of fire.
That's still being investigated,
Yes.
and if that was the case, the only person that police officer was firing in that area was to take down an Islamic terrorist.
No, absolutely, and I'm not saying that it makes it, but, you know, we don't know.
We don't know. That's still being investigated, and obviously we will bring you that update as soon as we have it. OK, and now, thank you very much for that panel. Coming up will be a much-needed trip to Dewbs. I don't know about you, but I need it. To discuss the monarchy changing. The Labour Party promise has changed as well. How's that one going? Don't go too far. We'll see you soon.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Hello, welcome back. Now, evidently, Michelle opens the pub every Friday night. And who am I to argue with Michelle? So, cheers. It is a Friday night. I think it's a Friday night. It's been a tough week. So thank you very much for your company and for all the messages. And yeah, it is Friday night, so excuse us if we have a little drink. I think we all do need today. So it's called the Dewberry Tavern, evidently, and it is open now for booze and bubbles. We're going to try and make the end of the show a little bit lighter. We have spoken about the horrors of Manchester and what we can do about it going forward, and the marches for 2 days solid now, it feels like. So we're going to have a little bit of a chit-chat about the royals, because we can rely on them to cheer us up, can't we? No. And because the Prince of Wales has said that change is on his agenda as he looks ahead to the future as king. In an unprecedented interview from Apple TV+, Prince William spoke about where he sees the monarchy heading in the 21st century and the toll cancer has taken on his family, obviously with his wife, Catherine, and his father. OK, now, panel, she says. Don't know if it's come to it first. Jo, because you thought we would be talking about the new Archbishop of Canterbury, weren't you?
Frankly, I think that's much more interesting.
Well, I mean, come on. How very dare you? I think it's interesting. But we've had change. We had Keir Starmer promising change. Look where that got us. Now, William wants to change the royal family. Is that the right thing to do?
Well, he hasn't got much option but to change it, because it is slimming down.
Along,
well,
right?
He's got his brother estranged, no sign of making up with them. Uncle Andrew's out in the cold. Which presumably means Beatrice and Eugenie, you know, the two York sisters, are out in the cold, which leaves Sophie and Edward, who seem to be doing quite an admirable job. Princess Anne, who plods on amazingly. You know, she's 70-something and she's, you know, works harder than everybody else. So who is there actually to take up any of the slack when William becomes king? I mean, they've said they're not moving into a palace or a castle. They're going to live in this other place at Windsor, I think. They seem to want to have a more normal, if you can possibly have a normal life. And I'm sure, without a shadow of a doubt, that Catherine, having cancer, will have focused everything on the family.
Well, he does say in this interview it's been one of the hardest years of his life, and obviously having two people you love with cancer is always going to be big. Matt, I think he's hinting that getting rid of the pomp and the pageantry, which is surely not a bad thing at the moment. I mean, just cheer us all up, doesn't it? A few flags.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I think it's long been said the monarchy, the royal family are a symbol of continuity, a symbol of the continuous nature of our nation, but they're also dealing with a country that doesn't really have a clear national story in a way that it once does. It once did. We've become more divided. We've had the issues that we've been talking about during this show. My personal view is the royal family have made a number of missteps in the causes that they have aligned themselves with. I think, knowingly or not, they've often supported an ideology, a movement that basically hates who we are, that views us as being inherently racist, that views us as being backward.
What do you mean by that?
Well, they've gone a bit woke. I think the royal family have gone a bit woke, yeah. And I think what would be good now, particularly with Harry and Meghan in the backdrop and really, you know, in California, where maybe they should stay, is William and Kate actually reminding this country what it's really about and bringing back that sense of you know, lower P pride that we have had in this country. And I think many people are yearning to see from the royal family, reminding people that, you know, this is a Christian country, for example, reminding people that this is a country that does have a shared set of values. This is a country that's done a remarkable amount of good in the world, and we should stop apologising for who we are. We should stop feeling ashamed of who we are and all of this stuff that comes from the institutions.
I mean, we do have a new Archbishop of Canterbury today, a woman. You happy with that?
Well, I'm going to wait and see. I'm a bit alarmed at the comments that she's made regarding Black Lives Matter, which is a revolutionary, anti-democratic, anti-capitalist movement. Of course, most of the BLM founders have since been imprisoned or arrested and convicted of major fraud. We don't hear so much about that. But I think I'm going to wait and see. I'd like the institutions to get back to showcasing the best of who we are and being proud of who we are. That's what these flags are about across the country, briefly.
Jo, just very quickly, are the royal family too woke for today, or...?
No, I think they are. I think William and Kate seem to be as modern as they possibly can be in the circumstances that they live, which is not real life. And, you know, unless we go to the sort of, you know, Danish or Dutch way of doing it, I think we're sort of stuck with how it is.
And the Archbishop of Canterbury you're happy with?
Yes, it'll be interesting to see how
the... In any case, we have finished. Thank you very much, Joe. Thank you very much, Matt. Thank you for watching. Have a safe weekend. Don't go too far. GB News tonight is up with Alex Armstrong. Cheers.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello again and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Storm Amy is crossing the UK as we speak, passing northern Scotland and bringing its strongest and most damaging wind gusts to much of Northern Ireland, northern and western Scotland through the night time and into much of Saturday. You can see how tightly packed the isobars are as Storm Amy makes its way across the north of Scotland. Spells of rain pushing through the whole of the UK. For many parts, 50 to 60 miles an hour wind gusts are expected overnight, along with a spell of heavy rain. But it's across Scotland, Northern Ireland, Northern England, North and West Wales, where gusts could exceed 70 miles an hour in exposed spots. And especially for the west and north of Scotland overnight, we're looking at wind gusts of 100 miles an hour for the Western Isles and 85 miles an hour for the northeast of Scotland during Saturday as Amy pulls away. That accompanied by heavy rainfall continuing to stream into much of Scotland, with large accumulations expected across the Northwest Highlands in particular. Northern Ireland seeing a wet and windy start, Northern England as well. And for much of the south, we're going to see showers interspersed by brighter spells, but very blustery out there, 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts. So it's a windy day on Saturday for the whole of the UK, but by this stage, the strongest winds and the biggest impacts are expected across the Northern Isles into parts of Caithness, parts of Aberdeenshire as well. That's where wind gusts could reach 70 to 85 miles an hour. The strong wind from the northwest will feel cold out there, temperatures dipping compared with the last few days, and there'll be frequent showers feeding in. Similar on Sunday, but we're starting to see it calm down at this stage. Amy pulls away, still a strong breeze from the northwest, still feeling on the cold side, still some showery rain around, but nowhere near as unsettled as the next 24 hours. And then into next week, we've got a westerly breeze, but it's not looking quite as stormy.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good evening. This is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. Motorists on the M9 eastbound should expect major delays between junction 10 and 9 due to a collision. The M48 eastbound has all lanes closed with traffic diverted, causing severe disruptions. On the M25 clockwise, expect delays of up to 1 hour between junction 15 and 17. The M3 eastbound faces lane closures between junction 3 and 2, resulting in about 1.5 hours of delay. And on the train, South Western Railway is encountering major disruptions between Wimbledon and Effingham Junction due to adverse weather. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
You could bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. And if that wasn't enough, you'll also get to drive away in this brand new motorhome. This brand new 2025 Benamar Primero could be yours. It comes with all the mod cons you'd expect from a vehicle worth over £74,000 and comfortably sleeps 4 people. This prize package is worth over £104,000. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dewberry, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good evening and welcome to GBN Tonight with me, Alex Armstrong. Coming up on the show, as Britain's second city comes to terms with yesterday's chilling synagogue terror